5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're on.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to The Profitable Salon Owner, where we get salon owners profitable fast. And we are brought to you by Vagaro Salon Systems, our fabulous hosts. And thank you so much to Kat and Rebecca and the team for making sure that this goes so smoothly. We're really grateful, and it's so much fun, and it is a bit weird for us to be live, to have our little faces out there, right?
That it is.
Yeah. So anyways, join along with us if you have questions or whatever. I think there is a spot to ask them.
There is a chat box, and you can absolutely type your questions in for us if you would like to. And I just want a little bit of housekeeping. Can everybody hear us? Can everybody hear us?
And we would really love to know that. Hello. Hello, Kawana. How are you today? Thank you for saying that. Actually, Kath, if you want to go to the next slide while we're waiting. Oh,
thank
perfect. You. Yeah. If you want to go to the next slide, I'm just going to give everybody a little bit of a heads up on who we are. Of course,
that would take you a long time.
I know, like seriously, you add up all our experience together, it's a lot.
Never mind all the years.
I didn't want to mention that,
okay,
Catherine,
all right,
but
no worries.
Seeing as how you brought it up. We are the two blondes, and we are absolutely passionate about the industry that we work in, the salon and spa industry. It has been an amazing ride, meeting amazing people, and over the years, Catherine and I have been researching and studying, coaching, mentoring, challenging, doing as much as we can to make sure that we have information to give back to the industry. Because in the end, business and relationships are all about giving.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
we give to get, and I really believe that our industry is one of the most giving industries that there are. Let's face it, every day you go to work and you give of yourself, you give of your talents and your artistry to the clients that you serve. So we really are an amazing industry.
And our mandate is to help you not only help people, but help yourself.
Here.
Because after all, we need to help ourselves before we can help anyone else. And if you're happy and you're making a good living, doing what you're doing, you are able to give back in spades.
Exactly. And please take note of that. Today's topic I think is really timely. We have certainly seen incredible changes over the last 20, 25 years.
Oh, huge.
And one of the, course, the biggest changes has been moving to the individual stylist as an independent contractor. We've seen salon owners move from being employers to being landlords. So it's been a huge shift in business, and it changes up the way you do business. And from a stylist point of view, or even a esthetician's point of view, as a service provider, today's topic is so timely, isn't it?
It is. More and more people all the time are taking that transition from working for someone to stepping out and working for themselves. And it is a bit of a transition. You have to depend on yourself for everything. And so we just want to run through it today, basically what that looks like, so that you have an idea. And the nice thing is, at the end of this, you can always request the PDF, which kind of outlines everything. And you can make a checklist of things that you would like to accomplish as you move through being in the business of one.
Yes.
And, we don't want one to be a lonely number, as the song says.
Oh,
don't sing.
Don't sing. It's really hard to hold myself back from that.
So it's really nice to be able to get feedback and work with other people just to reinforce what it is that you're doing.
Right, because one of the things that really strikes Catherine and I is that in a chair rental situation or a booth rental situation, you are often standing right next to, hey, it might have been your former employee teammate, but now you are standing beside your competition.
There she is.
There she is, you know? So it's like, because now you're in the same sort of business, but you have to survive and move ahead and be successful in spite of the fact that the person beside you is going after perhaps the same clients, you know? So how do we get successful when the competition is standing right beside us?
Well, let's dive right into it.
Shall we?
Yes.
Well, let's shall.
And here we go. Biggest thing is your mindset from the outset.
That's a great line, don't you think?
Yeah.
Mindset from the outside. You know, we always say that, you know, attitude is altitude. Your attitude determines how high you are going to fly, and it changes everything. And you often have to check your attitude when you get in the door.
Every morning before you walk in that door, the attitude has to be checked. And I, you know, from being in the industry for well over 40 years, and having owned my own businesses for well over 30 years, I have seen a lot of people come and go, a lot of service providers come and go. And I will tell you that the people who come in with the best mindset, they don't have to have necessarily the greatest skill set. And there's a big definition here. But if you have a great mindset, you can go further than somebody with a better skill set, but not such a good mindset.
And I think, you know, one of my favorite mentors is, you know, Robert Cromings from the Paul Mitchell team. And one of the things he always said was that, although, you know, he's a tremendous success, he often said, I am not the best stylist necessarily within my business. He said, but I have the right mindset. So he says, you know, like when you're out there, you hire for attitude, not necessarily for skill, because we can train for skill, but we cannot train for attitude, because that comes from within. And that's the one thing that we truly do have control over. We can change our mindset. We can change our attitude.
So let's say we're going to pretend. This is a pretend. You are just starting out. You are an independent business owner. So here are some of the questions that you must ask yourself before you make that transition. How serious are you about success?
This is a really hard one, because often what happened is that we do find that a lot of service providers end up having a JOB, which is just over broke, or a hobby business, right? It's just something they do to earn some extra money. You know, it's and that's great. That's fine too. That is your business
model,
right?
That's what you want to do.
Great. But if you're truly serious about success and building a business that's going to take you to a different level, to a different lifestyle, to a different outcome, you have to look at it from a different point of view.
You are now the business owner.
And what does that mean? It means that you have to think like a small corporation.
Absolutely. You know, we can't think as this small entity.
Bring that.
Yeah, there you go. It's funny. You can't think like this small entity, and
I'll think
big. And a long time ago, when I was first setting up in business, that was one of the best pieces of advice that somebody gave me, was that you must treat your business like a major corporation.
Right.
And, you know, if you think of yourself as a large corporation, it kind of changes your frame of reference.
It does, because now all of a sudden you've gone from being just the service provider to now all of a sudden recognizing that as the CEO, you are now responsible for all the different departments that are in a corporation. You are now responsible for the marketing, for the accounting, for the financing, for the ordering, for the, you know, purchasing, for budgeting. All of these things are what makes it important for being a CEO. So you take yourself out of being that justa. And I always think that justa is a killer, right?
So just a stylist.
Just a stylist. I'm just a something. And we have a tendency to do that, tagline ourselves in so many ways. I'm just a stay-at-home mom. I'm just a stylist. I'm just a,
Massage therapist.
I'm Justa. So, take the Justa words out of your vocabulary and move on. I am a business owner. I am the owner of my own corporation. I am a successful entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
And it changes by reaffirming that. It changes actually how you see yourself and therefore the way the world sees you.
Yeah, you have to reframe it. You are not just a booth renter.
Yes.
You are an independent business owner.
Exactly.
And that's how you have to think about it.
Exactly.
So, and the question, do you have what it takes to be a business owner? You really need to, everybody should ask themselves that, because not everybody does, and not everybody should be.
No, and booth renting or chair renting isn't necessarily the right position for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Some people make better employees than they do independent owners. So really have a good chat with yourself and decide, is this really the right career move for me? There's something to be said for working for an employer. Depending on the employer, of course, but really take a look at that. What is it? Because remember too that when you're a business owner, there's all sorts of things that you have to do outside of the business, hours. So you have all these extracurricular activities that you have to do as an independent contractor.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're an employee, when you close the door at the end of the day, you go home and you're probably not worrying about things, right?
That's it. You can close the door and go home. But when you are a business of one, there are still things to be done, and serious things that need to be done. So let's move on and talk about how we plan for success, because I'm sure if you're on this webinar, you want to be successful because you have already separated yourself from the crowd, because most people, or a lot of people, don't even take the time. So congratulate yourself.
Moving on up.
Yeah, we have a bit of a lag today with the slides, at least on this end we do. So success planning. Well, a lot can be said for location. Location, location, location.
The three most important things to remember in any real estate negotiation are location, location, location. It is really important.
Yeah.
It's not saying that you can't make an odd location a huge success, because we do have lots of salons, and certainly in our city we've got lots of salons who become destination locations. So if you do have that odd location, you can use it as your marketing tool.
But you have to, if you decide to be out of the way, then you have to know that your marketing dollar allocation will have to be more.
Exactly.
And for a business of one of the biggest I believe one of the biggest questions you will ask yourself is, where do I want to set myself up? Mm-hmm. So you need to look at yourself. You need to think about the market that you are trying to attract. Because I will tell you, and I often tell this story, in between businesses many years ago, I owned my own business, and then I was transitioning. And so I decided to go and rent a chair from another location, which I did. And it was really unfortunate because the location that I had purchased at was, again, repurchased by someone else. And I had a really loyal client base. I was booked solid. I hired my own assistant to help me. I had more clients than I actually could handle. And then all of a sudden, after I'd been there for a little while, I noticed that a few of my really good clients stopped showing up. And then when I went further down the line and tried to find out what was going on, they didn't like the new owner. They didn't feel that it was a classy enough place that's the word they used,
right,
for me to be. The new owner wasn't busy, sat around at the front, just didn't have my level of customer service. And so that made such a difference that some of them decided that as much as they loved me, they were uncomfortable with the location.
So it is all about fit.
Yeah.
And here's what you will find, though, when you are looking for a place to launch your business, because there's all sorts of salons out there that have booth rent or chair rent programs. So you want to find something that is going to align with your values. With your niche, with your client base, something that really fits with you. And the most important thing that you can do is go out there and interview the owners, interview some of the other service providers, find out what their niche is all about, find out what their client base is all about, interview, talk to people, find out what works for you. You do not have to go with the first one, and don't necessarily believe that price is the only thing. The same way as pricing for yourself. You've got to find the one that works best, because sometimes you may pay a little bit more, but you may get a little bit more bang for your buck. So don't discount pricing. Really weigh it out. See what everybody's going to offer you. See what the costs are, but see what you get back for your dollars. Because often return on investment is can be, you may end up paying more, but perhaps you're going to get more in that investment. Does that make sense?
It does to me.
Well, good.
I hope it does to everybody else.
Say yes.
Yeah. And, number 2 on the list to me is marketing. Because even if you are moving and you have a full client base, attrition happens.
It does. Often stylists, it's just like Catherine said about moving, chair renting in a place that in the end didn't work out for her, right? There are lots of clients who will not leave a salon that they're at because, yes, they love you as a service provider, but perhaps they're at that salon for a different reason. Maybe it was the location, maybe it was the coffee, maybe it was the magazines. We don't know. There's just reasons why people will remain. So you have to consider that there's going to be attrition. So the most important thing that you can do is take a look at your marketing.
Yeah.
That after you've got your location, how are you going to market yourself?
Yeah. And I think, honestly, one of the best ways for an independent contractor to market themselves is to network.
Absolutely.
And Aileen and I network all over the place. And how many times have we found stylists in networking groups?
Once that we can really think about. And we are so particularly proud of this stylist who happens to live here in Victoria alongside us. She's coming up later. She's an amazing example of networking. She has built a business that is unstoppable. And there's 7 actually steps to an unstoppable business. And one of them is to build a network. You want to build a community, and that's building a network. And it is absolutely unbelievable because that network is going to refer. And as an independent contractor, that's what you want. You want to build a network that is going to refer. We're not talking about, taking out big ads in a newspaper. You're not going to do that, but you are going to network. And that's the other part we talk about. If you want to be a business owner, think like a business owner. That's what business owners do. They go out and market. And it can be as simple as
network, I should say.
Yeah, and it can be as simple as going out within your community and talking to other retailers, introducing yourself, finding things that you have in common, and you say, "Would you be, ask them, would you be part of my community? Let's share. Like I'll promote you, you promote me. Find the people within your community that you can share with. I think you'll be absolutely amazed and surprised at how fast you can grow a community.
And I mean, it could, look at your local chamber of commerces,
your Rotary clubs, service clubs.
eWomen Network has networking all over. And I mean, some of these, have a cost, an upfront cost to join. But if you are good at what you do, you can keep your business flowing from your networking group.
And networking groups can be a tax write-off a lot of the times.
Well, of course, yeah, they are.
So, don't forget that too, right? Which reminds me is that one of the most important things you can do as a business owner is make sure that you set yourself up immediately with a really good bookkeeper. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Absolutely.
Because, we do what we do best and we hire for the rest. Now,
right on.
I'm not saying that you might be a great bookkeeper and that's fine. But if you're not, for goodness sakes, hire yourself a good bookkeeper.
But at least get QuickBooks or Simply Accounting or something so you can start slotting in all of your expenses and then and your income. So at least you will have that statement. So
thanks, Mimi, by the way.
So guest experience. Success does not come by itself. You must plan for your guest experience. And there is one thing, and I will say this. I have seen so many people make the transition from employee to independent contractor. They become very casual when they make that transition. They become very casual with their guest experience. They become very casual in their presentation. This is a business. Everything hinges on that guest experience, because without a fantastic guest experience, you have nothing.
No.
Because without guests, you don't have a business.
You don't have a business. I always say, if there's if you have no clients in your chair, are you still a service provider? Well, not really. If you're not doing it, you're not doing it, right? But the guest experience is the most important thing. And you and I talk about this endlessly. And we must be systemized.
Yes, you must know from the time the client either first calls or walks in the door what that visit is going to look like.
And okay, so here's the thing, especially nowadays with all the apps that we've got on our phones and on our mobile devices, this is really easy. Find yourself a free recording application, right? Turn that recorder on and then start talking about all the things that you want your guests to experience while they are in your chair or in your aesthetics room. Just start talking, okay? And then start playing it back and making notes about all the things you said. And before you'll know it, you now have a system of how you are going to handle each and every client. And the secret here is consistency. What's your favorite expression, Catherine?
Inconsistency is the enemy of quality.
Exactly. So we want you to create this very consistent, systemized guest experience from the moment they walk through your door till you check them out. Whether you're a one-person salon or you are a multinational, right?
That's right.
So if you're as a chair renter, booth renter,
you still need to have a scripted guest experience, because you don't want to lose clients because all of a sudden you become too casual.
Exactly. And I'm just going to throw it out there. We basically have to present ourselves to the client that we're trying to attract, right? And how you appear is what you are going to attract. So think very carefully about the niche that you wish to attract, which means that you can dress any way you want, but it is going to make a statement about you. It is part of your marketing tool.
It is.
So take that under advisement, please.
And we do have other webinars that we have done on guest experience. So you're able to listen. You can't take everything in at once, but they're there, and you can, and step by step, follow through exactly what you need to do. Now,
speaking of follow
up. Because it doesn't matter, it's vitally important now that you are a business of one that you follow up with your clients.
Every day. It isn't just...
Well, you don't have to contact them every day. But.
No, but I meant like you have to have in your practice a follow-up practice every day that you are going to contact somebody. Because the idea of follow-up is that you are going to maintain relationship with your clients when they are not within your practice area.
Yeah, and that, follow-up could simply be a Facebook post, a video, a how-to video, something simple. But you need to follow up with your clients. And if you have done something different with your client, even if the client has been coming for many years, call them a few days after and say, I'm just calling to find out, is everything working? We changed your hair. We gave you new skincare products. I just want to make sure things are working well. And that goes so far to retaining your clients, because they feel cared for.
And what happens when clients feel cared for?
They'll refer other people.
Exactly. They talk about you. They share you.
They do.
I can't believe how many times, somebody will say, oh, Eileen, I love your hair. Who does your hair? And I whip out my stylist card and pass it along, right?
Absolutely.
It makes all the difference in the world. And the reason that I continue to go back there is because of the exceptional service and the follow-up that I get. And to me, it's pretty easy. Sometimes it can be a 5 to 10 minute chore, but we schedule it into our day, every day, that we are going to do some kind of follow-up with a certain amount of clients every day.
Yeah, and it's easy. With Vagaro, you can just slot it in at a little appointment slot.
That is the beauty of the program.
And it will come up.
Yeah.
Now, education. When you are a business of one, education is critical.
Ooh,
education to upgrade your skills always. But now you need education in being a business owner. So educate yourself. And it's easier now than ever it was, because there are some brilliant podcasts out there.
And kind of like this one right here. Brilliant, don't you think?
But there are some brilliant podcasts out there that you can jump in on and in your time. You don't even have to, this one is 11 o'clock every second Monday of every month. But you can still access it. If you can't be here, you can access it at a different time.
Well, because one of the things that we found in our travels, Catherine, is that the lonely ones are often left out. Like the bigger salons that have employees, they organize training. But also what we're seeing too is that the manufacturers' representatives who bring a lot of education into salons, they're missing out on the singles. And so that means that sometimes the singles are left out of the educational pool. So it's really important to inform yourself of what's going on. And some of the places you can get that is if you're working with a particular manufacturer, go on their website, find out what they've got to offer. Sometimes they'll have webinars and classes, etc., using, explaining their product. Go to your local distributor and find out what they've got going on. There's all sorts of places. Be the one in your salon, perhaps, that starts to organize information and classes and education. Because again, when you're talking about giving and sharing, that's the way to go, right?
Yeah. And I really think that you need to be willing to spend a little money on education. Because, we put money out, but we have to give to get. Remember, we said that at the beginning. So you have to give. So you have to be putting money out there in order to get. And I can't stress enough. Eileen and I have spent so much money educating ourselves, but it has come back to pay off in spades.
Absolutely. And then also remember that if you yourself have a gift or a talent or a specialty, think about sharing and educating those around you. Because again, when you're looking at the giving to get back, you'll be amazed at what that brings you back. So share your gifts and talents. And that takes us right into what makes you different. Woohoo!
And that you don't want to be just one of a crowd. You want to specialize. You want to find a niche. So figure out, where does your passion lie? Are you a long hair specialist? Are you a facialist? Are you a curly haired specialist?
Are you a fine and thinning hair specialist?
But whatever it is, the thing that drives both of us crazy is when we go in and we ask people that question, they go, oh, well, I do everyone, from 3 years old to 90 years old. Yes, we probably all do some of that, but tell me what you love, what you're passionate about. That client that comes in and it's like, whoa, that makes my day. So that's the type of passion that we're talking about. Find a niche. And although you do everything, you're going to market yourself as the specialist in a particular area.
Because what happens when we market, like we have our special niche and we market to that specific category. But what happens is that we get a fallout of other people that come in that don't necessarily fall into that. And that's great. That's where everything comes from. But our market niche is going to be a much finer category. And what that allows you to do is, of course, focus your marketing and your advertising on a specific category. Yep. It's a lot harder to say, hey, I do everything and I'm good at everything.
You're generalizing.
Yeah.
At that point, you're just generalizing. So you need to really hone in and focus. And that's the one, if you do not anything else from this webinar, or you get anything else out of this webinar, if you can actually drill down and figure this question out and start marketing yourself to that specific audience, it will make a difference in your life.
And I've got two stylists here in town that I think do a really good job of creating a niche for themselves within a salon. And, one of them is Amy, who focuses on fine and thinning hair. She does an amazing job. And because of her niche, her clients are referring her all the time. And for fine and thinning hair, that's like 80% of the marketplace.
Yeah,
right?
Right now.
So it's incredible. And the other one is Dwayne, who really focuses on curly hair girls.
Yes. And
he's very specific. So he has a really specific way of cutting and styling. And he has built this incredible network that draws people to him. And yes, of course, he still does straight hair. He still does updos. He still does all those things. But his specialty and what he is so well known for is his curly girl styles.
Yes. And there's just so many different areas. We've actually done a webinar on finding your niche. So you can go find the webinar if you want more information. And really, that's what's going to take you and make you different than the person standing next to you or in the room next to you, is you have to stand out from your competition somehow. And I think this is a great way to stand out from your competition.
I totally agree. And, of course, this Dare to Be Different is one of our themes and one of our ongoing memes, I guess you might say, is dare to be different, because you really do have to dare yourself to step outside. And I think, another way that you can truly be different when you are standing next to your competition is in the language you use with your client.
Yes.
Too often we hear service providers spend a lot of time talking about themselves, about what they're doing, what's going on in their lives, their holidays, their children, their grandchildren, whatever it is.
What party they went on
exactly.
the weekend.
Dare to be different and make that client experience about the client.
Be professional.
Exactly.
We can be friendly on a professional level.
But dare to be different and be professional. It's just so important. I think you'll be amazed at how much your clients actually notice that you are different from the one next door to you.
Yeah, and that's what you need to stand out.
Yes.
Completely. So,
and not just on a soapbox.
Yeah. And we kind of touched on this, but I will go back to this.
Well, because I think the points here are extremely important.
Yeah. And, we talked about finding the right fit for you. So these are just some of the questions that you need to ask yourself. And I think this is a really good place to start. Will your clients be comfortable there?
Perfect. Perfect question.
Yeah.
Especially if you have that niche that we've talked about, right? Yeah. You may have been working in a big salon and you've created a niche for yourself. Really think about who those clients are. So is the new one going to be right? I think your example was perfect, Kath.
Yeah, of losing clients because it just was the wrong fit for me, and that transition happened after I was there. But once I realized what was happening, I was out of there. In fact, I bought my own business again. So I realized that I needed to be the driver.
It gave you the impetus you needed to find out that you had to make your clients happy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, are you easy to find? And then how's parking? What's the cleanliness like? And cleanliness is next to godliness.
In our business, absolutely.
Honestly. And I think when you go to interview wherever you are considering working, you need to go in there with blinders on, looking like a first-time client. You're not going in there as an interview for, a job. You're interviewing this business and you're going to entrust them with your clients and your well-being, because your well-being is tied to your income.
Exactly.
And so you need to have everything look just so. If you walk in and there are red flags that are jumping up, oh, this didn't look very good or that didn't look very good, then you need to back away.
Exactly, because what you see usually is what you get. So be very, very cautious about that, and listen to your gut instincts a lot of the time as well, right?
And does the location match your presentation? We talked about that. The location that I was at had ceased to match how I presented myself or my clients. And those are the clients I attracted. I attracted business women, and they were not comfortable coming in there, or high worth clients.
And, you know, we've found over the years that stylists or service providers who jump from place to place, they lose out on a lot of business. They lose their clientele. So we really want you to really think about that when you make this kind of a move to be an independent contractor, that you are going to bloom where you're planted. You know, that this is going to be it, at least for a good couple, you know, for years, right? It's not necessarily forever, but, you know, someone who jumps around from place to place every 6 months or a year.
Your clients are going to drop off.
You know, be cautious, make the right decision the first time around.
Yeah, and if it doesn't match, you know, if the location doesn't match your presentation, I mean, think about it. You know, if your pricing is higher than everyone else's in the business, then you know, that says something as well. You need to find some place that's going to match the client base and everything, because it's going to affect your pricing.
Absolutely. And just remember too, you know, because as soon as you say price to me, it sets off warning bells, right? You know, because one of the things as an independent contractor is we always want to make sure that we are using current pricing.
And I just had this conversation with 2 people last week.
Yes.
And it was so interesting. Both independent contractors. One does lashes, one does nails. The lash girl I was talking to is completely booked. She's so good. She's so detail oriented, but she's completely booked. She's sending people out to other people all the time. And I said to her, Jo, you need to put your prices up.
Right.
And it was like, oh
yeah, the fear
really
stepped in.
And I said, yes, you need to put your prices up next week by $5.
Because the moment that you are fully booked like that, that means that you need to raise your prices. It doesn't have to be in giant leaps and bounds, but they must go up. Because what will happen is, yes, you might have a few drop off, but what will happen is that you'll have others replace that coming in behind. So,
and they'll be happy to pay your new price.
Exactly. Because remember, pricing is perceived value. And if you give great value for the price you charge, you are a winner. Right?
And we think you're winners anyway.
We think you're winners,
on this webinar.
Absolutely. Speaking of education, you guys are already winners.
All right. Marketing, networking, and follow-up. So, good question. How are you going to keep your chair and room filled? It is all up to you now. That is the biggest thing, I think, that is a shock for a lot of people moving from employee to being a business of one.
Because when you're an employee, it usually means that the employer or the owner of the salon is doing all of the advertising, all of the marketing.
We would hope so. If they listen to us, they would.
Exactly. In a perfect world, anyways, they will be taking charge of that. So as an independent contractor, you are now the one that is responsible for the costs of marketing, the ideas behind marketing. You're the one that's responsible for making sure that there are people in your chair.
And if you don't have your own Facebook page, get it.
And it should be a
business page.
A business page.
Because not a personal page.
Exactly. Your personal page can kind of help you a little bit, but you need a business page. Facebook marketing is still one of the most powerful tools there is to promote yourself and your business. Use it. YouTube is an incredibly powerful tool.
Video
in our industry.
Video is huge right now. That's all people are talking about.
Podcast is a whole other thing. And, we talked about networking and building a community. When you find, the people in the network that you want to work with and form networks with, ask to interview them, put them on a podcast, talk to them about, their style challenges or their hair challenges or their facial challenges, whatever it is, get them on there and use it because it's all a marketing tool. It's incredible.
And that's what we're talking about, taking, that extra time outside of working behind your chair or in your room. You need to take that extra time to do a little bit more. And, a referral program. I don't care if you're fully booked right now. If you're fully booked right now, put your prices up and trust me, you'll have a couple of people drop off. So you will need a referral to fill that space.
Right. And Catherine, of course, is the queen of referrals. You've built a couple of businesses around referrals. So give a quick, brief summary, Kath, of how an independent contractor might work a referral program.
It's really simple. I don't care if you're like a huge salon or you're an independent contractor. Referrals it's a give to get. So you are going to give any client that sends you a client $20 towards any service. The new client coming in, you're going to offer them $20 off of it, any service. And, a lot of people go, oh, well, that's $40. And I go, okay, but don't think of it as $40 because if that new client coming in spends $1,000 a year with you, the return on investment
is pretty darn big, right? So, it sounds so simple because, but I know that the resistance to that initial $40,
is pretty big.
It's pretty big.
Yeah.
And when you think though that the industry average for bringing a new client in marketing costs is around $100, so $40 is actually really cheap, right? But really, I'm going to say it. Stop thinking small. Think big.
Yeah.
Think about the annual income that you receive from one client.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now it makes huge sense.
There's return on investment. So, and it's a really simple, easy way to keep building clients because you will have to. Attrition happens.
It does. No matter how great a book you've got, clients move, clients pass on, clients divorce, clients get transferred. There's just too many things that happen. And we figure that it's about 10 to 20% attrition every year. So if you have 250 clients, it means you're going to lose between 25 to 50 clients every year. And you've always got to have to replace them. So really think about it. Nothing is forever. And we cannot take our client list for granted.
And this is just kind of a little bit of what you can do as an independent contractor. And both of these people on the right side of the screen, one of the clients I worked with, she billed herself as a curly haired specialist. Everything she did was built around curly hair. She did other hair, but curly hair is the way that she decided to go. And so everything she did on her Facebook page, on her website, it was all about curly hair. And then on the bottom right-hand corner is our lovely Sophia.
She's incredible.
She is incredible. She is an independent contractor. She has her own YouTube channel and it's called Life of Hair with Sophia.
Yep.
And I tell everybody, go check her out. She is amazing. She is branding herself as an extension specialist.
Yes, and it's working.
And it is totally working for her.
Take a few minutes out and check out what these two women are doing because all of us are great at something, we can't be masters of everything, but all of us are great at something. If you're a great colorist, focus on that. Just find that thing that you're passionate about and start going with it. I think you'll be absolutely blown away and amazed by the attention it will draw to you, but how it will make you stand out from the person standing beside you.
The other thing that Sophia does a lot of, and that is she goes on location for weddings.
Yes.
So, she extensions, and then she now does a lot of location weddings.
So she's blogging, she's chatting, she's doing all these lovely colored sign thingies.
Yep. And she networks, network. She is a networker personified. So great. This is just great information. And guest experience. Eileen, you and I think this is truly one of the biggest things out there.
It is really the only thing,
Yeah.
because in a way it summarizes everything that we've talked about. Is, do you follow a guest path? And that is the guest experience, and it needs to be systemized. It needs to be consistent, that every single client that sits in your chair or in your aesthetics room receives the same consistent quality experience that the person before.
And consultations, can I say enough about
No,
consultations?
you cannot
We
say
have
enough.
done, like, we honestly have done a full webinar on consultations, because consultations are critical. If you do not do a consultation, even if your client you've seen for years, just please take her to your chair and sit her down and say, are we doing anything different today? How was your last haircut? Your color? What
Have you had challenges?
do we need to change anything? Give them the courtesy of listening to them.
Because talk about standing out from the crowd and standing out from your competition. If you do a great consultation for every client, whether they are new or existing, you have created a winning experience.
You are setting yourself up as being far more professional than the average.
And you are daring to be different.
And then how well do you educate your guest?
Aha!
It's all about education. It's not about selling. It's about educating. Educate, educate, educate.
Because people will actually end up buying products from you when you educate them about it. And you and I talk about this all the time. Educate and prescribe rather than selling. Because when you inform people and tell them the story behind the product, they're going to want it.
And with being a business of one, it is now up to you to make sure that that client is well educated, because the better you educate your clients, the more money they will spend with you. So your average ticket will increase.
Exactly.
So it's not about how many clients you can do in a day. It's all about how much each client spends with you. So your average ticket is a big, big piece of your business.
And having the add-on sales of the retail segment changes everything for you, because there's a lot of profit in retail, and it can really make the difference between, in your marketing costs. Like now all of a sudden you can pay for all these things, and the more that you put out there, the more that you get back. Of course, I really believe that, by putting retail in a client's hand, it increases their loyalty to you as well. So there's a real subset to the whole thing also. So educating your guests on the products that you're using is absolutely imperative.
And there's so many ways out there that, as a business of one, if you are in a salon that is working as a landlord for you, a lot of times they have products that your clients can purchase. I have seen that you get commission on that product, and it's taken off your rent.
There's all sorts of business models. There's
all sorts of business models to be able to profit from that
retail.
But more than anything, it's about retention.
Absolutely, because it's retaining that client that's going to bring you a consistent livelihood, right? The more your clients come back, the more that you are generating income and creating that business life for yourself, right?
And then, are you consistent?
Oh my goodness!
Consistency is
everything.
Key. Everything. Consistency is key, and we beat this one to death.
Yes,
but
we do.
It is,
but we'll say it every single webinar.
Because you are a business of one, it is vitally important.
And do you think that those around you will all of a sudden start looking over their shoulder at you to see what you're doing? You are going to be the leader of the pack.
And
people will be looking up to you, and that changes everything as well, because having that persona, it changes the way you look at your business. It changes the way you look at life, and all of a sudden, it's just a winner. And we go right back to what we talked about. You must
now stand out from the crowd. You can't be one of the crowd. If you're okay with being one of the crowd, then you have a job. And a job means that you will always be just over broke.
Right. If you want to create a
career
and a future and a dynamic business, you need to stand out from the crowd.
And more than ever, this is the business model that is growing faster than any other business model in our industry. So now is the time to stand out. Find your niche, do all the right things, make sure you have everything in place to be different.
Hear, hear. Dare to be different. And I think one of the things, after sharing some of this information with all of you, I'd really like to offer up that, if you really have any questions or whatever, I think our email address is next.
Yes,
send us a note, and if we can, we will help.
We're giving you a different email address. We've had some challenges with our other one. So we're going to, I know that this one I never have challenges with. So
no, and it's really easy to remember. 2blondessales@gmail.com. Now, just remember, though, that's blonde sales. There's 2 S's in a row there. So keep that in mind.
So we hope this made a little bit of a difference for you today. We hope there were at least a couple of golden nuggets. We hope it got you thinking a little bit differently if you are a business of one, because it can be lonely out there.
It can.
But
on the other hand,
it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. Exactly. And again, we'd really like to thank Vagaro Salon Systems for having us and always being there for us. We are so grateful. They are an amazing company. We hope that you are continually taking advantage of all the technology that they bring to the table, because honestly, talk about a business, it helps you be successful.
It helps you be a business of one and do it fairly easily.
Yeah.
So, because it gives you a lot of the tools that you need to be able to set yourself up.
And one of the things that we have found is that, some of our people out there aren't using it to the best advantage. So get a tutorial on it. Phone support and find out what it is that you need to know. Use it to the greatest advantage you can, because it's going to be your best friend. And Mimi, thank you for saying that. Thank you, Rikita. That's awfully nice of you. We so enjoy this time with all of you. Thank you. And we really look forward to seeing you next month.
We're talking about scripting.
Oh, yeah.
The language.
Yes.
So if you...
Okay, maybe not so much. Look at the language of business.
The language of business. Yes, that's the easiest thing. So have an absolutely fantastic month, and would like to share anything that they are going to change as a result of listening to us today. We would love to hear you. Oh, we've got a question. I'm trying to click into your question. I cannot click. It just keeps disappearing on me, Andressa. So if you would like to send your question to 2blondesales@gmail.com, I will be thrilled to answer you.
You got it.
Or Eileen.
Yes.
One or the other.
One of the blondes. One of the blondes will be there.
All right.
Thanks so much, everybody, and have a great month.
Yes. Take care.